Warning, this content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. This video is brought to you by First Detachment Nutrition. Battle tested, expert formulated. Use discount code AB10 at checkout for 10% off. All right, folks, Big Paul here today with a contest prep update. I haven't done one of these in a while. My off season was sort of boring, so there wasn't a whole lot to talk about. I had a bunch of injuries, and I just kind of coasted through the off season, to be honest with you. Although I think I've made some improvements. We'll go through all that. I haven't really posted anything up about the contest prep yet. Sort of coasted into contest prep as well. At 16 weeks out, I was pretty lean, so working with Justin Harris, we really didn't feel like we needed to crank things up until about 12 weeks out. So it's going to be one of the shorter preps I've done. I tightened things up at 16 weeks out, but it wasn't anything insane. Basically just cleaned up my diet, got into better habits as far as weighing and measuring my food, added in a sprinkle of cardio, no fat burners or anything until just the last week or so. So really the contest prep is just sort of spun up, in my opinion. This was really my first week of having a dedicated contest prep. So we're going to dig into all of it, and I'm going to show you where I'm at, what the plan is, and what's going on in just 1 second. So my peak off-season weight, I think I got up to 280 for a bit, and then I had some stomach issues. I had a bunch of gut issues where I couldn't keep my food down. I was, not to overshare, but I was having issues with diarrhea and upset stomach, and I couldn't figure out what the hell was going on. I would push my food up, and then I would get bloated and couldn't eat my food. My stomach was very upset. And after a bunch of trial and error and running an elimination diet, I determined that it was the ezetimibe that was screwing my stomach up. So that's what I get for trying to keep my LDL in check. And for anyone else out there who takes ezetimibe, that's something to keep an eye on. I have now found several people that I know that have had stomach issues with ezetimibe. So I was having bloating. I couldn't get enough food down. I was getting random diarrhea. It was really weird. And as soon as I dropped the ezetimibe, no more stomach issues. I have a sensitive stomach to begin with, so that's a problem, but that really pisses me off now thinking about it, that I may have botched a lot of my off-season push from taking the ezetimibe. So I don't know what to do about that. It's just maybe you just have to accept some elevation in LDL, although LDL is largely related to saturated fat intake, and I generally keep my saturated fats pretty low in the off season, minus the occasional double Whopper. But that's sort of my go-to cheat meal in the off season, either that or a McDouble from McDonald's. I'll do that like once or twice a week. It's not like a regular thing. But right now, my fasted weight this week on my check-in, I think it was around 258. My daytime weight is like 264, 265. My height, for those of you that care, is 6'1 3/4. I get dudes that get obsessed with my height and say there's no way I weigh as much as I do. And then they see me in person, they're like, oh my God, you're way bigger than I thought you were. I hear that all the time. So I don't think my size translates well to pictures. Being tall creates an illusion that you're longer and you're not as big as you are in pictures, but in person it looks way different. But anyway, for those of you that care, I'm 6'1 3/4. That was measurement for classic weight cutoff, at least last year is what it was. Classic, because I considered doing classic, so I would be in the 6'1 category for classic, which I think is now a 224 cutoff. So there is no way in hell that I'm dropping 40 pounds to get down to classic, so that ain't happening. Blood pressure has been very, very fine now that I added cardio back in. I'll be honest with you, I really wasn't doing cardio in the off season. I'm terrible about doing cardio, but I've been getting my cardio in now, so blood pressure is 125/75, and that's with 80 milligrams of telmisartan. A lot of times on contest prep, I find as I come down, I actually have to drop the blood pressure meds, the telmisartan, because my blood pressure gets too low. Fasted glucose is around 92 right now. I have really weird blood sugar issues. I don't want to go too deep into it, but I have pancreatic insufficiency, so I do have to take insulin now and then. Not for bodybuilding purposes, but for health purposes. My current health, my shoulders have been screwed up all off season. I have torn labrums in both shoulders now, and bicep tendinosis in one, although that seems to be getting better. So I really have to work around my shoulders. I feel great otherwise. I did have an abscess on my left delt. You can somewhat see it in my pictures we're going to look at in just 1 second. I had a shot go bad last week. I've been doing this for 30 years, and twice in the last year I've had shots go bad. I don't know why. I haven't done anything different with my injection protocol. Maybe it's dirty gear. I am terrible about swabbing off the area before I do my shots, so maybe I need to be better with that. I don't know, but I had an abscess on my shoulder. I thought I was going to have to go to the doctor and get it resolved, but it seems to be settling down. But I had almost a golf ball-sized lump on my shoulder, and it hurt like hell. The one last year I had on my quad, I had to get cut open and drained, and it was actually MRSA, so that one was nasty. My current pics, let's take a look here. I'll show you what I look like right now. I thought it would be good to go back and do a comparison. I'd like to see where I'm at versus the previous year. This was 11 weeks out last year versus 11 weeks out this year. Daytime weight was 254 last year. Daytime weight is 264 this year. You can see the lighting quality is kind of shit in the pictures last year. So that does create a little bit of an illusion. And I do have a spray tan for those of you that are wondering. That's why I look orange in these pics. I'm pasty white. I can't do the tanning machine because I've had melanoma twice. So I get the spray tan, which sort of gives you that orangey look. But that's why I look orange in the pictures on the right. Definitely my quads are bigger than they were last year. This off season was interesting, so my shoulders were beat up, so I really couldn't train shoulders or chest that hard. I don't know. I think maybe my pecs atrophied a little bit this off season. Maybe. I don't know. People like to point out how small my pecs are. They really aren't. I think it's just my shitty posing. If you saw me in person, I have a pretty big chest and pretty big shoulders. But regardless, I could not really train chest and shoulders hard this off season. I had to work around it. My legs, I could train hard. My legs felt great, even though I've had 5 knee operations. And I was able to push leg training this year. So I definitely brought my legs up. I brought my back up a bit. My arms, I focused on growing my arms, which has always been a weakness for me. It's the curse of being tall. I have 20-inch arms thereabout. I don't know. I don't put a measuring tape on them every day, but they're around 20 to 21. And they still look small in a front double bicep pose because my arms are so damn long and I'm tall and I got a giant head and all that stuff. But the legs definitely came up. I feel like I'm leaner than I was at this point last year, so you can see here in the front shots, you can see how much my legs have come up. They really have really worked hard on my leg training this year. I was very specific with my leg training. Training the adductors, training the quads, training glutes, training hamstrings. I split it up. I had somebody comment on Instagram how much bigger my calves are. You're going to laugh when I tell you this, but I don't train my calves. I might do like 2 sets a month for my calves. I just have gigantic calves. I always have. I don't know why. They're like 22, 23 inches, something like that. I don't know. Like I said, I don't put a measuring tape on myself every day, but I have huge calves, and I do absolutely zero for them. It's just a genetic gift. I wish I could tell you there was some secret. There really isn't. It's just the gods bless me with the good calves, and it's just how it is. This off season, I really was able to train back hard, so I don't do any barbell movements at all anymore. I used to do a lot of barbell rows, so I dropped that. I only do braced rows anymore. My primary reason for this is I'm getting older. I want to protect my spine and connective tissue. So I've gotten away from barbell movements. people are going to flip the shit out. I don't do squats. I don't do deadlifts. I don't do barbell bench presses. I don't do any of that shit. I don't do barbell rows anymore. All my back movements are braced. I only do braced rows. I split my back training up into a vertical pulling day and a horizontal pulling day for width. I have definitely focused on my back thickness this year. I have always had good width. Width has never been an issue, so I tried to put more emphasis on that. And I really, really ramped up my hamstring training and my glute training, which the judges pointed out last year was a weakness. Right now, I am 10 pounds up from where I was at this point last year. I feel like I'm even a little bit leaner or about the same. The pics are a bit deceiving because the lighting's a little different in the tan, but I think I'm a tad leaner than I was 11 weeks out last year. Side pics here. You can see my shitty posing where I don't really do a good job of bringing my pecs out. But you can see, I don't know, I feel like I'm about the same amount of leanness, maybe just a tad leaner. I definitely have brought my legs up. You can see here from the side, I'm thicker from the side. Hamstrings are thicker, glutes are thicker, quads are thicker. I need to work on my posing. I really have a hard time showing my hamstrings from the side. Hamstrings are definitely a weakness for me. Current diet, I am working with Justin Harris. Justin Harris does all my nutrition. I have all the foods broken down in here. I mostly just eat chicken and beef for my protein, and I eat rice for my carbohydrates, cream of rice, occasionally a rice cake, and some fruit here and there. I really don't eat vegetables. Very rarely. I do a greens powder. I know people are going to flip out and say that you need to eat vegetables. This is something I try to remind people of frequently. To optimize yourself for bodybuilding is not the most healthy way to eat. If you want to eat for health and longevity, that is a completely different way of eating. I am trying to optimize my digestion and to be able to get food down without stomach distress. And when I eat a ton of vegetables, my stomach gets upset. And if my stomach's upset, I'm probably not absorbing all the food that I'm eating, so I try to keep the vegetables to a minimum. I do take a greens powder every day. People ask me about the fiber. I take a fiber supplement before bed. I take vitamins as well. I have no micronutrient deficiencies that I've seen on my blood work, so people that freak out that you need to eat vegetables, sorry, Jack, you don't really need to eat them. As long as you're getting all your micronutrients in for bodybuilding. Maybe for longevity you do, but for bodybuilding, I don't think you need them. I am more worried about optimizing my digestion. Right now, my low day, I do one low day per week, which is my off day. I train 6 days per week. I hit every body part twice a week. My protein on my low day is 380 grams. My carbs, currently, I think that's incorrect. It's not 450 on my low day. It's around 200 and some change. And my added fats on my low day right now is, I cut the wrong thing in here, but my low day right now, my current low day right now, my total calories is 3108. What's on here is incorrect. I'm pulling it up. You can see it here. Let me see if you can see it here. So this is the correct one. 3108 is my current calories, 360 grams of protein, 255 grams of carbs, and then 72 grams of added fat. Sorry about that. So that was incorrect. One low day per week. My high day, I do one high day per week. I usually do it on my leg day. My high day right now includes a cheat meal at the end of the day. I sometimes take it. I sometimes don't. What I'll do is usually just make a homemade cheat meal. I like making pasta. To be honest with you, it's just something simple. I use a low-fat pasta sauce, and I'm allowed up to 1,500 calories for my cheat meal. So right now, this is just a rough estimate, but on my high day, I do one high day per week. Total protein is 320 grams. You'll note that it's less protein on the high day because we're doing high carbohydrates, and carbohydrates, as we know, are protein sparing, so you don't need as much protein on when you're having high carbs, so we scale that back just a tad. I assume the cheat meal is going to be higher fat. Last night I did my cheat meal and I went to Texas Roadhouse, which is my usual, and I had mashed potatoes, a sirloin, and a Caesar salad. So I'm guessing probably 50 grams of fat from the cheat meal, something around there. It's hard to quantify. But my total calories for my cheat day are 7,430. My total carbohydrates for that day are 1,000 or a tad over 1,000. My medium days, which are all my other training days, which are 5 days per week, current protein is 380 grams on my medium days, 450 grams of carbs, 34 grams of added fats. I do not count trace macros. People always, their heads always explode when I talk about how I don't count trace macros. I don't know why this makes people's heads explode. I do not count the protein that's in my rice. I do not count the carbs that might be in some inconsequential protein source. I do not count the fat that might be in the chicken. It might be 2 or 3. It's just not even worth measuring. It's extra work that provides zero benefit. I'm able to get ripped without it. So I just count direct macros and I focus on that. It makes it just a lot easier for measurement. And you're just creating extra work when you count those trace macros for no additional benefit. If you want to do it, go for it. I don't care. I don't do it. I get plenty ripped without it. It has no effect on me being able to get lean. If I lower my measurements by 10%, there's going to be a corresponding drop in calories at the end of the day. That's all that matters. Current PEDs right now, I am doing 750 milligrams a week of testosterone, 600 milligrams a week of Primo, and 800 milligrams of Masteron. I often tell people that Primo and Masteron are interchangeable, so Paul, why do you have both in at the same time? While they're both DHT derived PEDs, I do think Primo promotes a bit more fullness and a bit more anabolism than Masteron does. That's just my general anecdotal experience. I don't have any studies, anything to back that up, just what I've seen. And I noticed this week in Masteron, I've noticed with Masteron, it does dry me up more and it seems to lower my estrogen more than Primobolan does. And you can go to Instagram if you want to see my week-to-week pictures, and I noticed a drastic improvement in body composition this past week when I added in the Masteron last week. And in my head, that has to be from the additional DHT and also the estrogen lowering effect of the Masteron. So I feel like I've dropped some water. I'm running 9.5 units of HGH right now. 4.5 units of that is from Serostim. 5 units of that is from generic HGH. I split those up into 3 doses. I take one fasted. I take one pre-workout. I'll work out in the early evening, and then I take one before bed. I am not running an aromatase inhibitor right now. I have not seen the need to do so. I will probably add one in towards the end of my contest prep. I'll get my blood work done and see where I'm at, and see if I even need it. Humalog, I am running it on my high day as needed and pre-workout on my other days. I was running Lantus in the off season. I had to drop the Lantus because I was randomly going hypo. Once I start doing cardio and once I start cutting my calories back, I start going hypo. Fat burners right now, I'm doing 1 Go pill per day from First Detachment Nutrition and 25 milligrams of ephedrine. That's it for right now for fat burners. I will ramp that up as we go, but that's all I'm doing right now. Health supplements for glucose management, 1,500 milligrams of berberine per day. I use the suppressor product from First Detachment Nutrition. If you want to pick it up yourself, discount code is AB10. I split it up into 3 doses throughout the day. General health, I take a whole food vitamin twice a day. Vitamin C, 5,000 units of vitamin D. Cardiovascular health supplements, I take 3,000 milligrams of fish oil per day. I have thrown in some krill oil as well. I take CoQ10. I take niacin. I take citrus bergamot. For liver, I take the QRF product from First Detachment, which has TUCA, milk thistle, and NAC in it. And for kidney health, I take the renal reset product from First Detachment Nutrition. As far as prescription meds go, right now I am taking 80 milligrams of telmisartan. As I mentioned, I may lower that or drop that at some point during the contest prep. I take pantoprazole, for acid reflux. I know a lot of people want to drink vinegar and goat piss and a bunch of other stuff for acid reflux. Sometimes acid reflux is really acid reflux. Just saying. And I've seen a lot of guys, or not a lot. I personally know of 2 people that have died from esophageal cancer from acid reflux. So, something to keep in mind. And I take it as needed. As long as I keep my diet clean, I've noticed that I do not get the acid reflux. If I stay away from things like hot sauce, if I stay with clean foods, low FODMAP foods, I don't have the issues. As I mentioned earlier, I had to drop the ezetimibe because of the problems with it with my stomach. So right now, that's all I'm doing for prescription meds. My training, I run a Renaissance periodization style of training. If you want to download my training program, you can so for free. I have it up for free on my website. I give away too much shit for free. I probably should start charging for this stuff. But I'd throw it all out there. I have changed it up a bit. I am not training my chest or my shoulders 2 times a week anymore because I have torn labrums in both of my shoulders, and my shoulders just could not take the additional wear and tear of the volume. So I'm doing lower volume for my chest and for my delts. So I'm doing chest and tris. On my first push day, I do legs, and then I do a vertical or horizontal pulling movement, my rows. On my second push day, I have this backwards on here, but on my second push day, I do delts and tris, and then I do legs, and then I do my horizontal pulling for width. With my leg workouts, I split those in half as well. One leg workout is quad focused. So on this is another one that blows people's heads completely open. I do not do any barbell squats, period. I do not do any heavy leg presses, period. And you can see from my pictures, my legs have vastly improved going into almost 50 years old. And I think this is a reason why a lot of dudes that are older, their legs start to atrophy and they don't have the same leg development that they did before. It's because they hang on to barbell squats like it was a security blanket. They can't give them up. And with the loading of the spine, and you can't get as deep when you get older, and blah, 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 the wear and tear, the systemic fatigue that it causes, I think squats are just a terrible movement for legs, especially as you get older. People are going to flip shit when I say that, but I think squats are a horrible choice. Same thing with really all barbell movements. I don't do any bench presses. I don't do any deadlifts. I don't do any barbell squats. For my legs, for quadriceps, mostly this year when I made all the progress with my legs and brought my legs up, I mostly just did sissy squats and split squats. That's it. And some leg extensions. And you can see from the pictures, my quads have grown tremendously. I have some big quads. My second leg workout, I have it hamstring and adductor focused. This is another area people just completely ignore is their adductors. Your adductors make up a huge portion of your leg, and nobody trains adductors specifically. And you'll see it like the dudes that do squats all the time. What ends up happening is they have giant asses, and they have no quads, and they have no adductors. So you tell me which is the more productive way to train legs. My rep schemes right now for things I consider compound movements, which would be multi-joint movements like presses or whatever, I do 10 to 12 reps. For my isolation movements, I do 15 to 20 reps. I don't train anything to failure. I haven't trained anything to failure for years. I don't know what RIR I'm at, but I just go to the point where I feel like my form is breaking down, and I stop there. It's that simple. I train everything twice a week. I do high volume. I probably am doing close to 20 sets per week per body part at peak volume. And I'm almost 50 years old, and these guys that say you need to rest and recover and you only need to train things once a week, I'm making progress doing the exact opposite. I don't train to failure. I don't do any compound movements. I keep my rep schemes higher. I'm not doing any sort of tracking of how much weight I'm using. I just, it works. That's all I can say. Cardio right now, I'm doing very little cardio for contest prep. Cardio seems to melt me, so I'm trying to get away with as little cardio as I possibly can. 20 minutes of LISS 4 times per week. If your diet is buttoned up, a lot of times you don't need to do cardio. Some people need to do more. Some people need to do less. I have a very fast metabolism, so I can often get by with less. Plans and thoughts. My diet adherence has been perfect thus far on my contest prep diet. There have been a few times over the last month that I've missed a meal here and there. I'm not one of those people that gets excessive cheats in. If anything, I tend to miss meals just because either I get caught up in work and I forget to eat, or I'm just not hungry. I don't have a huge appetite. I have to force the food down. Even now on contest prep, I'm not really even that hungry. I'm sure I'll be hungry at the end. I always get hungry at the end, but I'm not one of these people that feels like I actually look forward to contest prep. I'm not one of these people that feels like I'm dying on contest prep because I'm depriving myself of food. I don't have a food addiction anymore. Maybe I did at one point in my life where I was eating a ton of ice cream. But I view food as fuel. People laugh when I only season my shit with salt, and I don't really care about what food tastes like. It's fuel for me to make my body look a certain way. Yes, I will indulge in a cheat meal here and there and have something for pleasure, but that's rare. Once or twice a month, maybe, that I'll do that. Why put all this work in the gym, take PEDs, if you're just going to eat like shit and make yourself look like shit? I've never understood that. Diet is the most important part of this sport. If you can't adhere to a diet, and if you are too hung up on flavor and feeling satiated all the time, then bodybuilding is not the sport for you. You have to be able to deal with that. I would suggest taking up powerlifting or golf or something where you can eat whatever you want and have beers and do all that stuff. I've been working around the injury with my shoulder, just doing the best I can. I can't really train my shoulders or my chest hard, so I'm just doing what I can. I feel like things are progressing quickly on contest prep. I don't even feel like I'm on contest prep right now. I'm sure that'll change at some point and I'll be miserable, but for right now I don't. And definitely the Masteron changed my body composition. All right, folks, that's all I got for you on this one. If you want to let me know how wrong I am, do it in the comments section below. This is where I'm at right now. I chose November 18th, I think. Masters USA's. It's my first national show. We'll see how I do. I'll either get my ass kicked or not. I don't know. I don't get too hung up on placings. I just want to do the best that I can and let the chips fall where they may. I can't help who shows up. I can't help what the judges do. All I can control is what I do. So that's all that matters to me, is being the best that I can be. And then whatever else happens, the placings don't really matter to me that much. Of course, I would love to place well. Of course, I would love to get a pro card. But if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. It's not the end of my identity if I don't. All right, guys. If you want to support me, please support my sponsor, First Detachment. Discount code is AB10 at checkout for 10% off. Quality supplements formulated by the man himself, Justin Harris. He has his new product out, Suppressor Max. Glucose disposal agent. That's fantastic. Go over there and pick it up. Link to their information is in the video description below. Thank you for watching. For coaching or consultations, head over to www.anabolicbodybuilding.com to book your spot today. I can help you with optimizing hormones, fat loss, muscle gain, physique, athletic performance, nutrition, and health. For more information, shoot me an email at bigp3rd@gmail.com.